Director Darrell Dennis, thanks so much for being with us today. Can you tell us a bit about your film, Sweet Summer Pow Wow?
Yeah, absolutely. So the film is basically it's in the style of those old, teen romance films that we used to watch when we were younger. But it's all Indigenous. It takes place on the powwow circuit. This couple, Ginny and Riley, who fall in love, and as so many of us who spent our youth on the powwow circuit know, it's a very intense and deep love, and you fawn over that person for the entire summer and can't wait to get to the next powwow. And it's sort of based on my experiences as a young man on the powwow circuit, going around, falling in love, and just all the sort of people that you meet, and all the misadventures that happen on that. So that's what it is. It's almost like a love letter to my youth, a love letter to the powwow system, and a love letter to just Indigenous people falling in love.
You mentioned it a bit there. The film is written by you and your wife, Katya Gardner. And you said this is a personal film for the two of you. Can you go into a little bit more detail about that?
No, it's actually it's more of a personal film for myself. I do write a number of my projects with my wife Katya Gardner, just because she's an amazing writer, and she's also really good at showing, stepping outside of my, because I get so wrapped up in how something should be, and she's kind of like, okay, well, but that doesn't make any sense, and this is like, oh yeah, you're right. But on that regard, I mean, like, yeah, it's it is a story about love, so we were able to draw on our own experiences and meeting, and those butterflies that we both got, and we were able to draw on those experiences as well. But for the most part, I mean, I just really wanted to do an Indigenous romance, because a lot of times in our movies and our TV series and that sort of stuff, we don't get to see Native people being in love. We don't get to see that sort of pure sort of thing. It's always some sort of trauma involved, or it's violence or that sort of thing. So just to see two young Indigenous people falling in love and showing the turmoil that happens with that, it was really important to me, because it's something we rarely ever get to see in that sort of pure form.
Awesome, great to hear. And your last film, The Great Salish Heist, is known in part for being the first ever Indigenous heist movie. How important is it for you to highlight Indigenous culture and identity in your films?
It's absolutely important for me. I mean, I grew up in the culture. I was raised on a res, so I'm like, that's all part of my storytelling. It's all, I can't write stuff without having that aspect of my thing. But the thing that I like to do with my projects is I'm really trying to get mainstream movies made with the leads that are Indigenous. The Indigenous leads are the heroes of the story. They're not relying on anybody. They're nobody's sidekick. So that's, for my last film and for this film, it really just sort of focuses on Indigenous people being Indigenous, and following their own journeys, and making their own choices, as opposed to being victims of some sort of system. So that was really important for my first film, and really important for this movie, and for my next film as well too.
And Darrell, you've had such a long and storied career in front of and behind the camera, going all the way back to when you were a teenager. Can you talk about how the industry has changed for Indigenous filmmakers and actors and storytellers? Are things better now than they were?
100% they're better now than they were before. I mean, we still have a ways to go, and sometimes there's a lot of like two steps, one step forward, two steps back that happens. But when I first started in this industry, I mean, we didn't have APTN. I was on one of the very first APTN shows, that Bingo in a Movie, that first aired. But when that happened, like, we really didn't have any control over our image, over our movies, over our TV shows. We were sort of like hired people, and it was all non-Indigenous people creating these projects. And now it's almost impossible to get a show off the ground if there are not the majority of Indigenous people involved in that thing. And that has been, just in my career, a huge leap forward, and it's been incredibly beneficial, not only for myself, but for all the Indigenous community as well too, and arts makers. So yeah, I'm finding it really exciting. It's an exciting time to be an Indigenous creative right now.
That's so great to hear. And last question, Darrell, can you tell us where the public can see this movie possibly down the road?
Yeah, Sweet Summer Pow Wow is currently doing the film festival circuit right now across Canada. There are links you can go to find out where it's playing. You can follow me on Instagram, Facebook to get that, but also Orca Cove Media is another great place to find out. So it's currently, it's going to be in the Comox Film Festival on Saturday, April 5th, but also it starts to run in Vancouver at the Vancouver Film Festival site, and that's starting, I believe, April 12th, and that runs for that week. But it's going to go across Canada, so just keep your eyes open, and yeah, go see the movie in the theater, because that's important for Indigenous filmmakers to have people go out to the theater and actually see it.
Darrell Dennis, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much.